packaged very well. Whenever you first open the box, there's going to be loose pieces of styrofoam in here. Make sure that you recycle what you can, but also check among the packaging for stuff like this. Once the bike has been removed out of the packaging, it's time to cut off all the wire ties that are holding. Once most of the packaging has been removed, at this point you can turn your attention to the front tire. And these components here, they just pull off. They're just protectors for the axle. So let's look at the accessories. Standard packaging for TST. Open this up. You're going to find your user manual, and this is going to cover not only the step-through design like we have there, but also a step-over design. This is going to be the rear guard to protect the derailleur. Your toolkit, again, wrenches and Allen wrenches that are in here for assembly. You're going to get your axle. This is going to be the front axle for the bike. You see there's a couple of cone-shaped springs. Make sure you don't lose those, and keep the orientation to where the small part of the cone. Here you have the kickstand with the mounting hardware with Loctite. And above standard, 3 amp charger is included. Of course, the power cord, and then of course the pedals. First of all, the gooseneck of the bike is pointed in the wrong direction. They do that for shipping. So you have to make sure that the forks are orientated the way that they currently are, and that's with the support hoop between the 2 shocks to be forward facing. You're going to do that by loosening these 2 bolts and this bolt on top. Rotate it around, line it up, tighten the top bolt here, or Allen headed bolt. I've got the handlebars positioned in pretty much a central position with this bullseye in the center of the window that's available on the clamp that holds it on. Whenever you tighten this down, you want to make sure that there's an equal gap all the way around on this clamp so that it has a good pull. And piece here, it actually came out of the brake caliper. Make sure you remove this before you put your tire on. But more importantly, now we have to remove this bolt, which they give you a wrench that will take out the nuts. All you're gonna do is loosen these nuts on both sides, and then loosen one of the outside, and you'll see the bolts just fall out. Again, this can be discarded. This is just for shipping. Now we're gonna install the tire onto the forks by removing this outer nut here, toolless. You don't need a tool for this. And then again, that cone spring, and just remember the orientation. This then, what they call a skewer, will go through the axle. Once it's come through the other side of the axle, I've got the tire flipped around here. We're going to put that cone spring back on, small side in, and then just barely tighten the outside nut, maybe 2 turns. And that's pretty much it. Tighten by hand the nut on the right-hand side of the bike, which is away from the disc. Then this lever, all it's doing is going to give you its final tension. And how you achieve that is by closing it. So we're going to go ahead and continue to tighten on the other side, that clamp as much as possible, or that nut as much as possible. And now, again, when you close this, it locks the wheel onto the forks. All right, so as far as the kickstand goes, it may be a little counterintuitive when you first get it. A lot of people try to position this on the front and then it doesn't work. So being careful of this cable here, you want to put the cable on the outside of everything, but there's a machined area in the back that allows this kickstand to seat nicely in a little pocket, and then the bolts go through the front. You just tighten those down. You see it's got Loctite on there. Okay, so we flip the bike around to show you what the derailleur protector looks like to be assembled, and it's very simple. The thing is, you will have to get yourself either a crescent wrench or a 19mm wrench to loosen the axle bolt on the back of the bike. But other than that, it's very straightforward. You're going to loosen this nut, and you're going to pull the washer that's up against the frame out towards the nut. You're going to drop the protector behind the cable, but also behind the nut onto the bolt and the washer. You want the washer on this side, and then you're just going to retighten it. Again, this is to protect the shifter in case the bike tumbles or if you lay on its side during transport or up against something. Okay, I've got you down here near the cranks because we're going to assemble the pedals. One of the things everybody gets confused about is the pedal assembly and which direction they may turn. So you've got a pedal that on the end is marked L and on the other one's marked R. Of course, that's going to be for left and right. Maybe on the outside, sometimes they put a sticker on it somewhere else. But the thing to remember about getting the correct pedal is once you find out what side is what, on the right side, you're just going to tighten it just like you normally would. And the reason that I know this is because as you're pedaling, you're cranking forward. Just remember that you're pedaling forward in this direction. So that means this pedal is going to go in this direction to be tightened. You're going to remove the nut and the washer off of the back of the fork assembly. The headlight's going to come down. You're going to put the bolt back through and then push it through the fork assembly and put your nut and your washer back on. You're going to check the tire pressure and make sure what the book says is what the tires are set at. You can adjust them a little bit for your comfort. These big tires don't require very much pressure at all. You're also going to adjust the controller to make sure that it's positioned so you can see it well. You want to mess around with the brakes. You want to make sure that with these hydraulic brakes that you pump them a few times to make sure that they are engaging. You're also going to adjust your seat. Make sure that you put it in a position that you're comfortable with. A lot of people like to ride it higher. It depends on how you ride. I don't like to pedal a lot, but that's going to be personal preference there.